Sorry, y'all. I froze there for a moment, but I'm here. I'm here. Shalom, everybody. I hope everybody's enjoying your day and this afternoon. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, please give me a 1. You can't hear me? Oh, can everybody hear me? Give me a 1 if you can hear me and you can see the screen. Okay, if you can't hear me, you may have to go out and come back in. You know, I always, when I come online, a lot of times I have another device that I can hear through, and I can hear through my other device. So it might be on your end if there's no volume. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Blessings, family. This is your brother L. The topic for today is emergency or emergence. For some, these times are an emergency. For others, it's an emergence. Take a look at this. You hear so many people now speak about the year 2020, and they say, damn, man, can 2020 get any worse? Nothing good has happened in 2020. 2020 has been a devastation for everybody. You hear people say things like this, and immediately you know that they're looking at their circumstance, their situation as an emergency. Because everything they say about their life and this year in the world has to do with panic, fear, stress, lack, anxiety, frustration, all those type of emotions. Those are the type of emotions people experience when they have an emergency. They go into panic, they go into fear. They feel like there's a lack of options. And that's how a lot of people have been viewing the year of 2020. A majority of people have been viewing it like that. Then there's another set of people that 2020 to them has been an emergence, a coming forth, a rising up, a lifting up, a time of increase, a time of conquering, victory, dominance, and winning. In the midst of so many situations that people have viewed as an emergency, there's been people that this year has been their emergence. They've gotten even better in every aspect of life. It's been their emergence. Emergency or emergence? Which one would you rather be in? Would you rather emerge and rise and come forth and be powerful and dominate and get victories? Or would you rather be in a constant state of emergency, fear and panic and uncertainty and insecurity and lack? Which state would you rather be in, emergency or emergence? Throughout history, our people, the Hebrews, the Israelites, the children of Israel, we have been a people of emergence. We have always risen. Even when other nations were dealing with emergencies and wars and chaos and devastation and destruction, we were a people that emerged, came forth like pure gold out of the fire. Even when everybody else was experiencing plagues, judgments, hitting them, out of that, we emerged. We have always been a people of emergence, even in the midst of emergency. So is it not fitting also in these times for us to be a people of emergence? Even when the nations and the world is dealing with their emergency, we are a people that emerges. Is that not what the scripture prophesies? That as the nations fall, Israel rises? You know, whenever our people were in Egypt and the plague of darkness hit Egypt, the Most High gave an instruction to his people on what they needed to do so that they would not be destroyed by the darkness. But whenever you read in the book of Jasher, we find that there was some of our people that did not obey the Most High's instructions on what to do during those 3 days of darkness, and they died right along with the Egyptians. You can read this in the book of Jasher. They received the exact same punishment as the nation of Egypt that was dealing with an emergency, because there were certain instructions they didn't follow. While the rest of the Israelites who followed the Most High's command through Moses and Aaron, for them, it was an emergence. They emerged out of those 3 days of darkness, still alive, still on top, still winning, still with victory over their enemy and over the oppressive Egyptians. So for one group, it was an emergency, and that darkness destroyed them. That plague took them out. For others, it was an emergence, a coming forth. Which group would you rather have been in? those who perished in the plague of darkness and died in the emergency? Or would you rather be those who emerged out of that as victors, as inheritors of the promise of the Most High? Would you rather the emergency or the emergence? I'd rather the emergence. Let's bring another example to modern day. During this year, while so many other people was talking about how it's been the worst year, how nothing has gone good for them, it's just bad, 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 it's all bad, let them tell it. I've been speaking with elders, leaders of congregations that have been saying ministry-wise, this has been one of their best years of ministry. They've done more baptisms. They've had more opportunity to counsel and share the truth with people because of all the things going on in the world. People are looking for answers. They're getting more views on their videos. They're getting more visits to their ministries. They're getting more people reaching out for prayer and baptism and fellowship because of the emergency. It has been an emergence for their ministries. I've had some brothers say that before this year, nobody was listening to nothing that they had to say. Now, all of a sudden, people are searching certain topics online because of what's going on in the world. They need answers, and they're finding some of these brothers' ministries, and their lives are being transformed because of it. Their ministries have taken off in the midst of what everybody else is saying is an emergency. For them, ministry, it has been an emergence. I can attest to that fact, all praise to the Father, that even during the lockdowns, even during the channel getting shut down on YouTube and all these things, we had a couple months winning streak and run where I was doing more baptisms back to back and traveling doing ministry work than I've done in a while. And this is all supposed to be in a year that everybody has said is the worst, couldn't get any more bad. I've experienced great increase in ministry during this year because people are hungry. People are looking for answers. People that have been procrastinating, repenting, being baptized, coming into the Most High's fold. This year was the tipping point for them to finally make that step and make that move. So there's been a ministry boom for some brothers and sisters in these times. It's been an emergence, not an emergency. There's a mindset called cognitive generalization that many people, not just our people, have to overcome. What is cognitive generalization? Cognitive generalization is where you have people that they point to scenarios or groups of people, and because that particular group of people or that scenario is happening how it's happening, they say that everybody is dealing with that. So they'll point to somebody over here that 2020 has not been good for them for whatever reason. And it doesn't make this person a good or bad person. I'm just using an example of cognitive generalization. But they'll point to somebody over here or a group of people and say 2020 has been bad for this group of people over here. Look at all the things this group of people over here has gone through in 2020. So because it's going bad for this group of people over here, 2020 is bad for everybody. That's cognitive generalization, where they say just because it's going bad for these over here, it's going bad for everybody. And it works on the same other end of the spectrum too, where you have people who say, well, things are going good for this group of people. Nothing bad is happening over there to them, so it must be good for everybody. White folks do this all the time whenever we bring up the injustices of history. They want to point to the few little black celebrities that are doing fine and say, things ain't so bad for you Negroes. Look at Morgan Freeman. Look at Don Lemon. They seem to be doing well. How come y'all can't get it together? That's cognitive generalization, to point at a small group of people doing good and then say, because it's good for them, it's good for all of y'all. Both mentalities are wrong. Here's the correct mindset to have. The correct mindset to have is a discretionary mindset, A discretionary mindset says, this group of people over here is doing bad, so let me learn more about the circumstances that led to the condition they're in. Let me do a little bit more research about the decisions that they're making, and let's see if there's something that can be tweaked so that even though they're doing bad, they can do better. A discretionary mindset says, okay, this group of people over here is doing good. Let me learn the decisions that they made of why they're doing good. Let me learn some of the circumstances surrounding their good, what seems to be good fortune and things going well for them. And let me learn from that so I can begin to make some of those decisions so I can do better as well. A person with a discretionary mindset doesn't say, because this group of people is doing bad or in an emergency, then it's an emergency for everybody. And they also don't say, because this group over here is doing good, that everybody's doing good. No, they learn from both groups and apply the wisdom so that they don't make certain decisions that would make them do bad or handle certain situations in a way that would put them in a worse circumstance. And they learn from those doing good and say, let me do some of the things and implement some of the things they're doing so I can do well also. That's the mentality that we need to have in these days. What do I need to do? What decisions do I need to make? This is what the laws and commands of Torah told us the whole time. The Father said, behold, I put in front of you life and death, blessing and cursing. Choose life. He's talking to each individual when he says that. Choose life. These other people over here may be choosing emergency and death and panic and fear. But you must choose life, choose emergence, choose strength, choose victory, choose blessing. It's an option. It's decisions. So the decision that you and I have today is, will it be emergency or will it be emergence? Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 4. It says, he that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. What this is saying is that a person that's always looking at things going on outside of them that they have no control over, they will never do anything to develop themselves and improve their own situation. And many times when people are constantly looking at things going on outside of themselves that they have no control over, they really don't care or want to do anything about those situations anyway. A lot of the main people that you hear talk about how bad 2020 has been, they're pointing to outside circumstances going on that they have no control over. They're doing what the scripture here says. They're observing the wind and regarding the clouds. They're looking at things they have no control over. And because some of those things are not going good, now they say automatically things aren't going good for me. Because things aren't going good over there, things aren't going good for me either. But many of these things that's going on, they aren't doing anything about it anyway. Brother L, they shooting us in the streets. Brother L, the white boy that killed them people in Wisconsin, he got bailed out. Okay, if you're really mad about that, as mad as you say you are, you can go look up his address and his family's address. You can go see about him. You can Google it. You can find the address on the dark web. All these people that you talking about, you so mad that shooting and killing our people, you can find where they live. If you're that mad, why haven't you went to go shoot the house up yet? Oh, it's because you're really not that mad about it. You just want to constantly feel like you're in an emergency. You want to focus on all these things outside of you. You want to observe the wind and regard the clouds, but not do nothing about these things you say that you care so much about. If you was that mad about the white boy doing that, you'd go shoot up his house because you can find the address online. If you're that mad about these things, there's things you can do about it. The white woman that set up Emmett Till, her address is online. If Negroes was that mad about what happened to Emmett Till, how come ain't nobody went to go knock on her door yet? So you see, folks are not as mad as they say they are about these outside circumstances. They're just observing the wind and regarding the clouds. And they're looking at any bad situation they can find to then say, because that's not going good, now things ain't going good for me too. When if they really wanted to, they could do something about those things. Brother L, they only talking about giving $600 stimulus, and they talking about they ain't gonna give the $1,200 this time. Unemployment is at its highest. People is getting laid off and evicted. These things are going on, and it is unfortunate. However, you personally in your situation, what things can you do to curtail that from happening to you? Just because that's happening to so many others doesn't necessarily mean that it has to happen to you. And if it does, it doesn't make you a better or worse person. That's not what we're saying. What we're bringing to the table is what decisions can be made so you can oppose certain type of outcomes happening in your situation. Yes, there's high unemployment. What can you do to make sure that you always have streams of income coming in so you're not waiting on them to give you a stimulus check, which they're probably not going to do? Because when have they ever cared? What things can you do to ward off some of those emergency situations that so many other people are dealing with? Because whenever the Most High was judging Egypt, the scripture says that our people in Goshen was all the way good. Everything was smooth in Goshen. While the Most High was hitting Israel. You didn't read in the scripture during the fall of Egypt, none of our people saying, man, they firstborn children is dying over there, man. It's bad over here. That's what's happening to them. That don't necessarily mean that's what should be happening to you. Are you starting to see the difference between emergency and emergence? Let's not be so quick to claim other folks' judgments. Let's not be so quick to claim other folks' situations. Instead, we need to be those who are emerging so that we can help those who are in an emergency. We want to be those who emerge and possess so that we can help those who need to get helped out of their emergency state. That's the whole purpose of being one who emerges, to help those who are in emergency. But how can you help those who are in emergency if you yourself are also in the exact same emergency as them? Let me give you another example here about emergency versus emergence. Let's once again go back to March of 2020. At that time, the lockdowns, the global lockdowns was just beginning. All over the world, people's mentality was in a panic, fear, uncertainty, insecurity type of condition. Many people were in a state of emergency. But there were others who made different decisions. At that time, I'll give you an example. Bitcoin, for instance, at that time, the price of Bitcoin had plummeted to about $3,100 in March when the pandemic began. And since so many people were in a mind state of emergency at that time, certain decisions were made. They did not see certain things emerging. When you're in a state of emergency, there's certain options that you don't look at, that you can choose, that later on would benefit you. Bitcoin's just one example, $3,100 in March. Those who invested even in just one Bitcoin at that time, when everybody else was in a state of emergency, panic, fear, those who invested in Bitcoin at that time, they're now sitting on well over $23,000 because now the price of Bitcoin is $23,000. In a short period of 9 months, the price went from $3,100 to $23,000. But the people that were in a state of emergency, all they thought was, this is it, it's over, especially in the Hebrew community, It was just straight emergency mode. So when folks are in a state of emergency, they don't see opportunities emerging. Bitcoin was one of those opportunities. Online businesses was another opportunity that began to surge and emerge in those times. Because since so many people were getting laid off, they finally started looking at the other options of other streams of income through online business. There's a story of one brother that in the middle of the pandemic, he started a business and a store where he sells t-shirts about Black fatherhood, Black fathers. You can look this up. And in the midst of the time of pandemic, when everybody else was focused on emergency, unemployment, this and that and this, the brother started that store selling shirts about Black fatherhood and made history where in one day, those shirts made him over $600,000 revenue. Now, this was at a time when so many other areas was in an emergency, but it was his emergence. And that's something that can be done by any of us to start an online store, print on demand. I'm just giving you examples of ministry and business of how people made certain decisions, even in a time where so many other folks are talking about emergency. For those who made certain decisions, it's been an emergence. Now, that doesn't make them better than the people going through emergency, and it doesn't make the people going through emergency better than them. It's just different decisions that were made. So what I want us to do as the people of the Most High, since we are destined to be on top and not on bottom, destined to be the winner and not the loser, how about we begin to have a mindset where we are choosing life, we are choosing blessings, we are choosing victory, success, and destiny so that we emerge, just like our ancestors have always done. Whenever there's an emergency, we emerge. During the Great Depression, when white folks was jumping off buildings and killing themselves, our people had thriving off-grid country communities where the food was flowing, the wine and the corn, the meat. We was eating good while other folks was jumping off buildings, committing suicide. For them, it was an emergency. For us, it was an emergence. There's so many opportunities that have come in 2020 that you would have missed it if you had an emergency mindset. I thank the Father. 2020 has been one of the best years of my life. And I'm not saying that to flex or to boast. I'm boasting in the Most High. I can tell you that when everybody else is in an emergency, you can be in an emergence. If you stay in tune to the Father, if you stay at peace, don't go into the fear and panic. If you go into faith, and don't go into doubt. If you go into taking action and not staying stagnant and paralyzed by lack of options, if you do these things, it can also be an emergence for you. As things get worse and worse for the world, and as they go from emergency to emergency, chaos to chaos, you can go from glory to glory, power to power, peace to peace. It can be your emergence, not your emergency. Let's go to Genesis chapter 26, verse 1 through 6, and verse 12, 13, and 16. I want to give you the example of our forefather Isaac, how all the people that were surrounding him was going through an emergency, but for him, it was an emergence. Hallelujah. Here's what it says. And there was famine in the land beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Most High appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries. And I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Now, remember, this was at a time where the land that the Most High was telling Isaac to go into was in famine. They were starving, they were in emergency. But notice the father didn't join the pity party. The father didn't tell Isaac, it's a famine there. You're going to starve. It's all bad. The unemployment is high in Gerar. Just everything's bad there. No, the father hitting him with them promises. The Father is hitting him with that good news that if you obey me, for you and your tribe, it will be an emergence, not an emergency. The Father was building his faith, building his encouragement. The Father was reminding him to make the wise decision in his situation. The Father's telling us the same thing today, family, to endure, to survive and thrive in these times. In these times where so many are going through emergency, it will be our emergence. We are a people who emerges from the fire, untouched, not smelling like smoke. So let's continue to read. So the Father was not joining the pity party, and he told Isaac not to join the pity party either. He said, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws, and Isaac dwelt in Gerar, then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold, and the Most High blessed him. So in this area where so many of the others was going through emergency, for Isaac, it was an emergence. Because what did he do? He obeyed the Most High and he made moves. He took action. He made moves and took action. So for him, it was an emergence. And because he made those moves and took those actions, he was able to help a lot of the other people in the land that was going through famine. He was able to teach them how to get out of their situation of emergency. Isaac was like, look, all I did was obey the Father and make some of these ministry and business moves. And now I'm set up good where the famine ain't hurting us. We eating over here. Let me show you how to do that too. And because Isaac obeyed the Father and made the moves, he was able to help other people out of their emergency situation. Are you seeing this? So in an area of famine and emergency, it said, then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold, and the Most High blessed him. And the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great. That's the same thing that has happened to many brothers and sisters in 2020. Their ministries have become greater. Their businesses have become greater. Them as individuals, they've gotten more healthy. Certain foods they started cutting out. They built up their immune systems. Certain things they used to do, they no longer do. They lost certain amounts of weight. They begin working out. They've seen increase in so many areas. Even during a time of emergency, they have had an emergence, just like Isaac did. But listen to something else here in the last verse. It says, and the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great. And Abimelech said unto Isaac, go from us, for thou art much mightier than we. So it's very important you see that this is going to be some people's reaction. Whenever Isaac was doing well and he was not in a state of emergency, he was in emergence. Some of the folks that were still in emergency, they said, man, we don't even want you around us. Go, get away from us with all that talk of doing better, being better, overcoming, getting victory. And I want you to understand this very important thing as well. Some of the folks that are in emergency, they want to be in emergency. Some of them, not all. Some of them want to get out of emergency mode. Some, they love it, being in panic, in lack, in emergency. So to the point where when you come with solutions to say, my brother, my sister, this is how you can get up out of that. Let me show you some things. They say, get away from me. I don't want to hear about doing better. I don't want to hear about the blessings of Deuteronomy 28. I want to stay in emergency. I want to stay in curses. I want to stay in panic, fear, lack. Get away from us. That's exactly what they told Isaac. They did not want to know how they could change their situation from emergency to emergence. Whenever Isaac was there, he was ruining their pity party. That's the same thing you will do whenever you change your mindset, where you want to have emergence instead of emergency. The folks that's always in a state of emergency, they not going to want you around because you're not joining the pity party. You are making decisions that will better yourself and your family. And then when you win, you are wanting to show other people how to win too. They don't want you around. Well, guess what? I don't want to be around them either. I want to be in the blessings of Deuteronomy 28. I want to have eternal life. I want to sit at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom and celebrate how we overcome. And until then, I want to win in this life as well to the glory of the Father. You should too. Shalom.
All right. Uh, all right. All right, family. That was good. Throwback, but it was still good. Okay, y'all. You know, everything that we're seeing now in these last days, if you notice, the revealing of things have accelerated. It's almost like on a weekly basis, we're finding out new things that were once hidden, and it's not so hidden anymore. And as time moves forward, that's going to accelerate even more. But I just noticed there's been a lot of things revealed in this year alone. So, everyone, please stay safe. And let me see here. I want to thank Tempest 78, Bantu Lisa, and Zore Lion for your donations. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And for everyone else, thank you. And we'll definitely come together and do this again next week. I pray that the Most High keep you safe with his strongest angels around you always. Shalom, family.